Good morning, everybody. Thanks for hopping on to our quick little parent meeting. Our pool sessions today. Just kind of want to get everyone caught up on our plans for this upcoming winter and beyond. So just a couple of things that you won't be able to unmute yourself towards the end of the meeting. We're basically just going to talk about our ODP pool process and the events coming up. And again, if you have a question, try to raise. You can raise your hand. There's a little icon at the very top that looks like a hand. You'll just click on that. And that way we'll know that you might have something. If the chat box is working, which I'm not 100% sure if it is right now, but you can also put questions in there, but kind of try to hold off until we get through the presentation in case we may cover anything that you wanted to ask about. So just to kind of start us off to see where we are in the process here. We've gotten through our tryout and scouting process, so now we're in the next phase of our ODP process. We're in the state pool process here. This is where all of our players will be in competing every session. Once we get to events and things like that, to be able to ultimately make it to the state team. That'll be for basically the 2008s and up. We'll be looking to take one team each to the sub-regionals, so 18 players plus 4 alternates. Those are the players that will get automatic invites into the pool next year, assuming we have that camp this year with COVID. If we'll have certain members that'll make the state team, they'll end up getting into the Midwest Regional ID camp, where we have a little bit of influence on who goes, but also the Midwest Regional staff, also has invites and things like that. Then after that, it's out of our control, and it goes up to higher beings here. So just a few things in the selection process. One thing I get a lot of emails on after each session is players asking how they did, what are some things they can go on. I would prefer the players actually go talk to their coaches after the sessions or even before the next session, just because that gives them a little bit of accountability for themselves. We're not going to be sending out evaluations, formally until the end of the year upon request. So there's nothing wrong with them asking their coach, like, hey, what'd you think I did well? What are some things I really need to tweak before the next session? Things like that. So have your players step up and ask those players. Now, to give you an idea of the process here, from last year, we had 420 players in our pools. About 10% of that will received a regional camp invite. This year the regional camp will run, assuming that we are free of COVID at this stage, will run for the 2009 all the way up to 2004 age groups. Our 2004s are players that we're going to go into our international trip. Typically with Kentucky, we try to send some of our younger players a year before to give them experience. So there is a possibility some 2010s may get invited to regional camp as an experience type thing. But up to the individual players really, and what we're looking at in terms of numbers. To give you an idea of how this goes is that we had around 12 players last year, or last time we had the process, that were selected to represent the region, whether it be the regional teams, the regional international trips, things like that, out of our 420. Of those 12, 6 made it all the way to national camp. And it kind of worked out where it was 2004s and 2006 players. Of those 6, we had 2 girls who are currently on our program that made it all the way to the U.S. national team youth camp that was down in Texas a few years ago. So, when we talked about this at tryouts, we'll say this again. This is always, there's going to be a failure rate at some point for our players. We have a former player on our intern staff right now, Logan Barber, who was a regional team member for several years, but also didn't make it for several years too. And she's a good example of players, taking the feedback and really working on her game to make it to the next level. So there's going to be times where that's going to happen. Players might not have good days. They might not have good camps, might not have good outings. That's okay. That's part of the development process. A lot of times we think that it's just a straight incline, but it's a kind of a wavy road that we go on. Players have dips in form, have really good moments as well. Hopefully those good moments coincide with our events and things like that. So moving on. One thing that we're really, just I want to share to you with parents is, this is what U.S. Soccer defines as the 6 key qualities of a player. One of the things that we as a staff always really try to focus on during our ODP sessions is this first one, is game understanding and decision making. Too often do our kids rely on either our coaches or even parents to do the reading of the game and tell them what to do. We're going to put our players in activities and games where they're going to have to be able to see what's going on and make that decision. The faster the game gets and the higher level the game gets, the quicker the game is. So by the time you tell a player on the field what they need to be seeing and what they're doing, that moment has gone. So we need to train our kids to be able to take that information that they see and then process it and act on it. So that's a big part of what we do with ODP. Initiative, players that, want to just, like it says, be proactive, go at players, take players on, create things. We don't want players that are always reactive. There is a time to be reactive, but a lot of times we can, take the initiative both attacking wise and defensively. Obviously we work with technical ability. With us not having a lot of time together, while we do like to do a little bit of technical work, most of that technical training needs to be coming either from club or needs to be coming at home, where they have a lot more time. We've got to really focus on some other things with our limited meetings. Responsibility. This is a big one that we really try to hone into our kids. We want our kids to be responsible for themselves as players. So if they don't have their jerseys, that is not a parent problem. That is a player problem. We want the players to take that responsibility. Make sure that your players are packing the things that they need. You as parents can remind your players, but I don't want you guys doing that for them. That is their job. Okay, make sure they're doing those type of things. If they're having a bad day, if they're not doing well, we also want them to be accountable. If they make a mistake, that was my fault. They need to understand when things break down, when it's actually on them versus when it's on someone else, because that helps them understand the game and that helps them be able to become better players. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I made the mistake there. So we really want those players to really understand that and not immediately blame someone else when something goes wrong, which a lot of times our kids and being very highly successful players have a tendency to do. As with dealing with young kids, sometimes focus is an issue. That's something that we really want to kind of try to hone in on our kids and be able to do. And obviously, with physical abilities, we can have good players, but if they can't move, at the highest levels, that can be a problem. So we want to make sure that players can do their best physically as well as all these other things. So, but again, for us, we're kind of looking more of the game understanding. We're kind of looking at these top 4 is really what we kind of really focus in on for ODP. All right, just some things for our training and events, just to kind of go over. I know it says tentative on the calendar on our website. A lot of that is because of our January and February events. We're still kind of trying to figure out a few things. Honestly, with the situation with COVID, makes everything super fluid. So we want to make sure that everything, when it's set, it's set. So now December pool sessions right now are set. So if you go to the website, kysoccer.net, go to programs and then click on ODP 2021. There's a bunch of accordion little areas of the page where you can see all of our pool sessions. If they change, we will have an email sent out. We won't change anything and just change on the website without communicating with you guys via email. Okay. Oops. Right now, we're still kind of navigating through January and February. We do have a session that will be at E-Town, I think the second week in January. That's confirmed. Now, there's a couple other things that are in play right now. Like we're supposed to have an indoor session in February, which is looking more and more, or looking less and less likely to be inside. So there's going to be times where we're going to have to kind of look at weather to see if we can pull it off to add a few more sessions. Typically we have for the youngest ones an indoor session in February, while the older players are out at events. But because of my nervousness of being inside with a large group, we're going to try to make some plans to be outside if we can in those 2 months. Right now, our events are as planned. Right now we're hoping to take the 2,000 2009s and up to Indiana. The boys will be on January 2nd. The girls will be on January 3rd. What we do there is we have two basically 60-minute games for each age group. Usually we have Illinois come, but Illinois has declined to come this year just due to their COVID situation. So it'll just be us in Indiana. So you'll get two games. For a lot of you, there will be no need for a hotel because a lot of the games don't start till 10 at the earliest. A lot of games go from 2 and 7, things like that. And then on the third, kind of the same situation. We're trying to find things that we can go up and do pretty quickly. Tentatively for Tennessee, we're scheduled for Tennessee. Actually, that's supposed to be January 16th, not February, Martin Luther King weekend. We are still working on that, and we haven't finalized that, but that'd be for the 2010s and up. We will send out information on that as soon as we know for sure. Tentatively, the Indiana sub-regional is June 18th through June 20th. That will be where we will take the 2010s, 9s, and up for that event. For the 2008s and up, we generally just go down to one team with alternates. For the 2010s and 2009s, we'll take two teams. Now, we were looking to have a few more events, particularly for the 2011s. We're currently talking to Ohio South about having a play date at some point with them. That's always a TBD. So, obviously with COVID, that's added another layer of possibilities here. But that's looking like we're going to try to have that. We're going to figure out what dates make sense for everyone. And as soon as we know something, we'll definitely let you guys know. Okay. Just for just typical pool training logistics for everyone is first. Typically, I'm very much a arrive early type of person. However, with COVID, arriving early gives us a little bit more issues. So right now, I would ask you guys not to arrive any earlier than 30 minutes before the session, particularly in E-Town where the fences are locked until a certain point in time. This allows us to get set up as coaches, gets everything kind of going and flowing well. And so just try to respect that time. We don't want players just kind of hanging out. I will send people to cars if they're too early, okay, just because we're not ready to deal with you guys yet, okay? For all sessions, players will need to bring their own ball, water, shin guards, and goalkeeper equipment. If they're a goalkeeper, they'll also need to bring both of those shirts that they have, the gray one and the orange one. If your player was a pool player that did not have to attend tryouts or wasn't able to attend tryouts, I will have those shirts for you this weekend or the following weekend whenever they can make the first pool session. Those are them to hold on. Players that make it to the sub-regional will end up getting some jerseys for them. But for right now, this is how we're doing it. We'll also be giving out some shorts and socks this coming weekend. Looks like we'll be giving out blue shorts and blue socks this weekend and then white socks the following weekend. So just be aware of that. If you guys want to order ODP gear from our team shop, that is up and going. I was able to take a look at it, but nothing is required. So don't feel obligated to buy anything that you don't want to buy or don't want to give your kids. It's not a big deal. We try to keep this as minimal as possible for everybody. Just bear in mind that if they do get ODP stuff like sweatshirts, jackets, whatever, we still need them to wear their shirts, their tryout shirts with a number on the outside. So that way we have confirmation of who they are before we get to know them. Now, once we get towards the latter stages, your coach might know everybody by face, not a problem. But until we get to that stage, please make sure whatever they wear, their shirts are on the outside of it. For your mask, we want everyone to wear a mask going into the complex and leaving the complex. If they want to wear them while they're training, we're more than encouraging that to happen. That is totally up to the player. I think that now it's getting cold. It'll actually be kind of nice to have those on at this stage. But that is up to the players once they get there. Just keep in mind if they go to the restroom, if they leave the field for whatever reason, they need to have their mask on. For this weekend, and players will report to their assigned field. Coaches will give directions from there. So, for example, this weekend, you'll report to the pavilion where I'll be set up, and I will kind of direct traffic of where to go. We'll get your shorts to you there and socks there. We'll have, we have basically two field choices there at the turf field, so it's not that difficult to get there. Now, parents, you're allowed to watch when the facilities allow. So this weekend, you are more than welcome to watch your players during the session. We ask you to stay in the stands and away from the fence line, just because players will have their bags there, things like that. So please stay up there. We'd like for you to remain masked and socially distant while you're up there as well. We want to make sure we set good examples for our players, and stay away from our coaching staff as well. Do not congregate in the pavilion or anywhere near where traffic for the players might be going to the bathrooms and coming out. We want to make sure we keep that area clear as much as possible for our kids, just to kind of have that extra layer of safety at this point. All right. Some other odds and ends. Okay. I've already gotten this quite a bit from some of my coaches, but I want to make sure that I'm pretty clear on this. Please, if you have a question that involves ODP, do not go to a club coach in your club and ask them the question that just because they're on ODP staff. Because what happens is they turn around and they ask me, and then I tell them, and then they tell you, and so now we're playing just that telephone game, right? Everything needs to come straight to me. Let's leave our coaches out of it. Whether you have a relationship with that coach or not, I want everything through me. We want to make sure that this is just above board organization. I want everything that comes to me and not through the coaching staff. I prefer you actually not even talk to the coaches at all about ODP whatsoever. Okay. Also, if we try to keep a pretty hard line on not talking directly to players or parents with our coaches. Now, we do that for a couple of different reasons, but one of it is basically every year if a player moves, they say it's because they recruited ODP. My coaching staff has zero contacts with any of our players. Right? I'm the only one in the organization that has all the player contact info. That's for their safety. It's for our safety. So do not reach out just because you can find their email on the internet and email them. Okay. Contact me. I will forward it on after removing the email addresses, and they will get back to me, and then I'll forward it to you. Okay. So with a lot of the new parents, from this week, I got a lot of emails worried about, I haven't heard anything. We always send out communications via email the week of a pool session. Typically, they'll come Wednesday or Thursday. So please don't email me asking about the information. It will be coming. Okay. Now, if it's not there on Friday, please email me, because it's either something has gone wrong, your name's not in the system, or, like it didn't get sent out, whatever. That's okay. But please don't do that, on Monday. Okay. It will come. Trust me. You will get tired of all the emails I send out. All right. ODP camps, right now we have tentatively scheduled. We have a phone call actually this afternoon with the regional staff. So we're waiting to hear if they're going to plan for the regional camp. That's typically in July. Usually the boys are 6 through 10. Girls are somewhere around 11 through 15 or 12 through 16 of July. We always schedule an in-state camp for our younger players, so our 2011s through 2009s. That's typically towards the end of July in Campbellsville. Of course, we are going to wait and see what the COVID situation looks like, and we'll make some decisions on that. Now, for us, for our in-state camp, we typically try to send things out roughly in April or May, once we have that confirmed, just to invite people out at that point. So that's pretty much what I have for you all. So if there are questions, you can raise your hand there if you like, or we can you can just jump off here, or hopefully send it in the chat if it's working. Or I got one question in the chat, possibly. No, just from Brooks. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Otherwise, have a good afternoon. All right, hold on, just yeah, I see. All right, just one moment, please. All right, Cash, if you want to ask your question, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Are the fields this weekend inside or outside, the turf fields?
Everything's outside. Yeah, everything is outside right now. Like we actually, when we send our information out. We'll send it out if it is inside. Right now, the only inside we have scheduled is Mockingbird in February, and we'll just have to wait and see how that looks. Okay, good question. I have a My MacBook, maybe. I'm not sure who that is.
Do the coaches have to wear masks? And is there a COVID positivity rate that will shut us down?
Yes, all the coaches have to remain masks during the sessions. We are just awaiting instructions from the governor's office. Is the only time. We're not going to have a set rate just because of the nature of what we're doing. But yeah, all the coaching staff will have masks on the entire time. John, you had a question?
Yes, I was wondering, there seems to be more girls in the 2007 pool this year. Will that mean there's 3 teams then? Or will there just still be 2 teams? Seems to be, there's over 40 in that pool.
We will probably, so what we did on a lot of the pools is we took a few more than we thought we would have last year, just because we're anticipating people not be able to make it, or, COVID type issues, things like that. So we will have 2 teams. So when we take them to Indiana and possibly Tennessee, there'll probably be 2 groups. And then it'll end up going down to 1 for the sub-regional. But, if we have a large pool, we typically try to make 2 to 3 teams out of that. And make sure everyone from the 2009s and up gets at least one event where they play in for Kentucky, depending on availability. And then after that, we start, whittling that down a little bit. So good question, John. Kentucky ODP, you have a question? It's a bold name, by the way.
Yeah, someone raising his hand right there. Charles Green.
All right, Charles Green, you have a question?
Yes, sir. The 2011 girls, you say that they may have games out of state?
Possibly. So right now, what we will probably do is we try to schedule something with Ohio South, which may be either in the Cincinnati area, on our side, on their side of the river, on our side of the river. That's one of those we got to kind of wait and see. But that won't probably happen until June at the earliest, would be my guess. We've tried to schedule things in April as well, but a lot of that's going to come down to availability, of course, what the situation is going to look like and things like that. So, good question.
Thank you.
Tim Jones, you got a question?
Hey, Derek, thanks. I know you gave us an update on the Indy dates, but for the mid-January in Tennessee, do we envision games all 3 days?
Yeah, the plan right now, from what I'm talking Tennessee, is going to be 1 game a day. So for some people, that'll mean that they can go up and back because it'll be just outside of Murfreesboro. But yeah, the plan's going to be 1 game a day, and it looks like it's going to be Alabama, Louisiana, us, and like the Nashville for the boys, Nashville SC's MLS Academy groups. So.
All right, very good. Thanks. One other quick question. I didn't notice Indy in, I think, February. Is it February?
That was a mistake. Are you talking about Memphis?
Sorry, Memphis. Yes.
So we're probably going to not go to Memphis this year. Not because I don't love the event, but one, obviously it's a long way. But 2, because of COVID, they're not going to be able to have the meetings where I think really makes that event go really well. They're talking about doing virtual meetings, and I have a hard time justifying the travel and the expense for our players if they're not going to have that kind of process. So I'm not going to throw it out completely yet, but we're leaning on just doing the Indy and the Murfreesboro events at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Matt Stickler, you got a question?
Yeah, will the team app be used to communicate with us, or will it be emails? Because currently there's nothing on the team app.
So the team app is basically what we use it for is last minute. I'm on site. We have a weather issue. I try to do a lot of dual redundancy on some of these things. Our main platform from when we send out information will be through email. However, whenever we update something there, I will update it on Teams as well. So that way you can kind of see the schedule for each one and all that. I haven't had a chance to add anything beyond the December 19th, or I'm sorry, December 13th training date. So I'm going to be adding that on in the next couple of days. But yeah, that's kind of the plan there. So. But yeah, we've had weather issues in the past where we've had to cancel while we've started the session. We had, I think it was 2 years ago in March 1st in Nelson County where we started with nothing, no bad weather, and then we had 3 inches of snow by the second session, so we had to cancel the afternoon session. So it happens sometimes. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, great. I'll hang on here for a little bit longer, but otherwise, thank you for your time. I'll download this video and we'll post it on our YouTube page and send that out for anybody that wants to rewatch it or needs to send it on to somebody who hasn't seen it yet. But thank you guys and have a great day. I'll see everyone this weekend, hopefully. Oh, yep. I got a question.
Hey, sorry about that.
It's okay.
I've never used Microsoft Teams before, so I'm a little bit of a little ignorant on it. But here's just a quick recap to make sure I get this is that, so basically my kid's in a pool. He's going to go to the practices you guys have on the schedule, probably go to 2 tournaments and then some additional practices. And then everything beyond that is pretty much, hey, if he's good enough and is chosen, then he gets to go on, or if not, how does the camp work? Do you have to be chosen to go to camp, or is that open? Or do I understand how this?
What's the age group of your child?
09.
09? Okay.
Yes.
So 09s. So that's the 09 is the 1 year where it's a little bit weird. So you have 2 options for 09s. Okay. So what will happen, and this can always change too. We might end up taking 2 teams for the 09s as well. Oh, we will take 2 teams for the 09s. I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll take 2 teams for the 09s at least. So what will happen is they'll go to the sub-regional camp or sub-regional event, those 2 teams. Some may be chosen to go to the regional camp, the Midwest regional camp. If they're not chosen to go to the Midwest regional camp, any of the 2009s, 10s, or 11s are allowed to come to our in-state camp. We've used that in the past to just kind of see how players deal with being away from their parents, because sometimes that's their first experience of being away from home. What we certainly don't want is a kid's first experience being away from home to be the regional ID camp, because if they don't perform well there, if they have issues there, that might be the last time they get to go to that camp, So they can go to either one there on the 2009s. So yeah, that's kind of the deal. And then the 2 teams that go to the sub-regional event, those players, so it'd probably be 13, 14 per team, plus some alternates, they're automatically invited back into the pool. Now, if your player doesn't make it to the sub-regional team, that doesn't mean they can't try out and get back on the pool the following year. So
here's what I'm confused at: is sub-regional when is that the one in June?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Sorry, I'm a total neophyte. So
they'll
definitely play in the first 2. They'll definitely play in the first 2 tournaments, and then after that, it's kind of make practices. Maybe go to camp, maybe you don't. Maybe get invited to go to regional, maybe you don't.
Correct. Yeah, correct. So we want to give everybody a chance to play, and play in a game, because what we don't want to do is not invite kids and they can't make an event, and then how do you know how well I can play if you've never seen me play in a game? And that's one of the things to worry about. So
I just want to make sure I got the flow. I do appreciate your time and thank you. And sorry, I'm a little rookie here using this app, but thank you.
I'm not too experienced myself, so it's all good.
Thank you. Take care.
No problem. Anybody else? All right. If nobody else has a question, I'm going to shut this meeting down. If you don't feel comfortable asking via this, you're certainly welcome to email me at Derek Willis, DerekWillis @kysoccer.net. Otherwise, you guys have a great day, and hopefully we'll see most of you this weekend.